Man, it has been a week.
Man, it has been a week. It has been a week.
Not necessarily a bad week, but it has been a week.
Just a week. Yeah. It has been a super hectic week on my end. Busy. Like, again, not a bad week. It was actually a pretty good week.
Mm-hmm.
Just busy, man. Busy. So, do I sound any different to you at all?
I'm probably not the best judge of character for that because Mallory bought me. I don't know if I ever talked about this, but Mallory bought me these headphones that I've been using with the MacBook. And then when I put my headphones on out here connected to the mixer, everything sounds different to me. So you don't sound bad if that helps at all.
What headphones are you using with the MacBook just around the house?
Just a cheap $20, $15 pair that fold up. If I had one complaint about them, the cord is on the wrong side. Just saying.
It's on the right side?
Yes, sir.
That is the wrong side to put your headphone cable on.
Yes. That should not be a thing. Like, I come out here and put the AKGs on and the cord's on the left side. I'm like, this is how it should be. Even though it's running across the mixer, this is how it should be.
Yeah, but that's how it's supposed to be, man. If you're only going to do one cord, it's got to be on. I haven't thought about this in a while because I haven't actually used any wired over-the-ear headphones with the exception of the Tribit X Go's and whatever. And those have their headphone cable on the right side. But I don't think I could go back to using a pair of headphones, like over-the-ear headphones that had two wires.
Oh, no. I don't think I ever used. Yes, I did. Yes,
you have.
Yeah.
Everybody has at some point. But I've been on the one cable for so long, and especially since I found the AKGs like I have. Now, the in-ear monitors I have, of course, they have two cables, but they're earbuds, and it seems different. I don't know why it's different, but it's different.
You sent me some in-ear monitors this week. I did not look at them.
You get those. Only like $20.
Oh, yeah? Are they wireless or wired?
No, they're wired.
Okay. So they have two cords that come together into one, do you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Those aren't the ones that I bought a while ago, are they?
Nope, they're not the ones that I sent you, and I think Michael Doyes also bought a pair of those. These are similar to those in that they're kind of the same style of earbud. And the wire's detached, so if you break the cable or get a short or something, you just replace the cable. But they're about $20 cheaper. And as far as I can tell, they sound as good and they're still comfortable. That's actually what I'm using now because I can hear a lot of reverb coming off of me. I got to do something about that.
I don't hear it.
I do. I think I just hear it in the
I just heard it.
Yeah. It is definitely a thing. I got to do something about that. But these moon drop are something that were mentioned on Daily Tech News back during like the holiday shopping, whatever thing, maybe not. It was something Patrick Norton mentioned.
Okay.
And they sound pretty good. And they're $20. They come with a nice little small square pouch to tuck your headphones in. They do come with several in the box with several different size ear tips or whatever. But once you got your ear tips on that you want, stick them in your little pouch, and they make great travel, which is what they're going to be for me. It's going to be travel headphones. So I always got a decent pair of in-ear monitors when I'm traveling because I don't travel with AKGs at all.
Do they let you hear around them at all?
Like, can you hear stuff outside of what's coming into your ears? Or can you hear
primarily what I'm worried about is, can I hear my voice outside them? Because like these headphones that Mallory had gotten me, these are over-the-ear headphones, and I'm very appreciative of them. I'll start with that. But I have to have one ear off because if I put both ears on, I don't know what it is about it, but I can't hear that is what it is. I can't hear myself unless I'm monitoring myself, and I won't monitor myself with software because there's enough of a delay that'll throw me off. So I keep one ear uncovered so I can hear myself talking while I'm talking, and that makes it easier.
You feel like you're not talking if you're like, am I too loud? Am I yelling at people?
Yeah. In a lot of cases, I am yelling at people so I can hear myself.
Yeah, it's probably because they're closed back headphones.
They are.
And I get a similar sense with it's one of the reasons I don't use, even though they're pretty spectacular, headphones in general, like they're comfortable. They sound decent. The Tribit X Go
Yeah.
headphones from that AT guys carries. Those are nice headphones. But the reason I don't personally use them a lot is because they're closed back, and I think that was my issue with a lot of the over the ear headphones I've tried for podcasting and monitoring myself over the years until I got the AKGs, which feels like maybe 10 years ago. It's probably not been that long. But what drew me to those immediately, and I've said this a bunch of times on the show, so I'm sorry, people who've been listening forever, because I'm going to say it again. One, they're semi-open, so you do get better airflow, and you can also hear things around you, and you can hear yourself talking outside of the headphones, so like you're not yelling. And the second thing that I like about those is because they're circular instead of oval shaped, so they're much more comfortable on my ears. These you can hear yourself kind of out. That's why I hear the reverb. Like I'm not hearing the reverb through the microphone back into my headphones. I'm just hearing myself bouncing off the wall behind me right here. So you can kind of hear around them. And I have some of the foam tips on. I bought some foam tips. Well, I had a pack of foam tips because I keep those. And I just put those in. So yeah, they're pretty comfortable and they're cheap.
Travel.
And they're a good travel pack. That's why I grabbed them, because I have the AKGs and I also have the super expensive in-ear monitors that I bought. I definitely don't want to travel around with those, because if they come up missing, I'm going to cry. Because I'm still hurting. Because I paid a lot of money for those. But yeah, these are comfortable. They sound good, and I like the little pouch to just throw them in the bag, and there they are. And I know I always have headphones. The other upside of that is if I have to go to it, like I'm going to actually buy me a second pair to just keep on the van tucked away. So if I have to go use an ATM, I always have a pair of headphones, because otherwise I'm probably not going to have any. If I don't leave here with the intention of going to an ATM, I don't have wired headphones.
Yeah. So we need to decide something. This is episode 100. So welcome to the listeners who have been here from episode 1 or prior to episode 1. We do have listeners who have been here prior to episode 1, DM series listeners. And welcome to new listeners. I think it was this last week we got a new tip jar subscriber. So we really appreciate that. Tip jar subscribers last week got I think it came out to be 21-minute terminal bonus episode. So check out your feed for that. And I'm going to be traveling a bit over the next couple of weeks. And we need to decide how we want to handle this, because neither of us has planned ahead, which means that we're sticking to the true core of the show, and that is, let's sit in front of some microphones and record, and neither of us know what we're talking about.
It's generally what happens. Sometimes we do, sometimes not. Sometimes we do, but then we go off somewhere else. But people should listen to the show and they'll notice how that works. Yeah, episode 100. Thanks to our tip jar subscribers. We appreciate you for sure. Thanks to everybody who listens, who has been listening. And, I said last week, we're just going to start making this suggestion. We've been asking you to tell a friend. Now we're just saying, just go subscribe them. Just, take their phone, just subscribe them to the podcast. But Mike was about to say something much more important, I think.
I mean, maybe, not really. I should make an announcement, and we'll do that some point in the show, about what we've vaguely hinted at in the last couple of weeks, since I've known it was actually happening. But I want to tell you, Python is amazing. Just so you know, I love Python. It is helping me automate some work. I was going to say, that's what I was going to say. If anyone's interested in a Python script that I know we've talked about on the show here. I think we talked about it last week. To download podcast content, reach out, and I'll be happy to send that. And you don't even have to be a tip jar subscriber. You just got to reach out to us via email or Mastodon.
Yeah. Feedback at technicallyworking.show.
Yeah. So my question for you is, I will be at CSUN next week, Monday through Friday. And Damashe will be at, I need to get this package into the mail to you like tomorrow. I will pack everything up, and I would put it off towards the end of the week, but we both know that when packages go to you or come to me, I think that the USPS is searching our packages or something because they always get delayed.
It will be delayed for sure.
Yep.
Which reminds me, I need to put that warehouse order in too.
Yeah. So after.
So you're at CSUN starting this week, or is it the week after?
It's
this
a week from
right?
tomorrow.
Oh, a week from tomorrow. Okay.
Yep. So from when this show publishes, it'll be a week. It's on the 10th is when I fly into CSUN.
Gotcha.
So we can't delay to Sunday like we did today. By the way, I did reach out to Damashe early yesterday to say, hey, can we delay? And then I reached out to him again and I'm like, hey, actually, if you don't want to delay, we don't have to. And then he got busy too. So anyways, we can't delay this coming weekend if we're going to publish something on the 10th because I need Sunday to edit it and pack and do some other U-test projects I'm involved in but we got to do that. And then I fly out the 10th. I'll be busy the 10th through the 14th. There are a couple of podcaster get-togethers going on. I can speak for one of them that I know of on Wednesday the 12th. If anyone is interested, they can reach out to me on Mastodon. And I'll get you those details or send us an email and Damashe will forward it to me because I still don't think I know I don't have the feedback email set up on the Mac yet. But we are getting together at 6 p.m. in the hotel restaurant if anyone is interested in that. And then the 14th, I fly out of Anaheim to DC, and I'll be in DC from the 14th through the 18th, and then I fly home the 18th.
Oh man, so we gotta
and Damashe's at a convention the 14th, 15th, and 16th. Well, the 14th and 15th, I think. So
yeah, so we gotta figure something out. So the short way of handling this, I think, is we'll just have to try to squeeze us a couple of episodes in this week to record, just pre-record some stuff. And you get next week, so not this episode, but 101, if you get that edited, you should get that edited before you leave for CSUN. I can work on editing the other two if I need to.
Do you even have Reaper installed?
I do have Reaper installed.
Okay.
I've even put my license key. So maybe we'll find out.
So that's a solution. My solution, and not ideal, but my solution was, we've done 100 episodes. We haven't missed any. Maybe we should give ourselves 2 weeks off and then pick back up the week after CSUN and catch up. Nah. We'll record.
We'll just do some pre-recorded stuff and get it edited up and scheduled and all of that, and then that way we won't have to worry about it, and maybe that'll prompt us to stay on top of that sort of thing and not wait until the last minute. Yeah. We talked about this and then we never really followed up on. Yeah, but then we never followed up on like, oh yeah, we should really do something about that. And I honestly forgot. Like, I don't even know what day it is, dude. Yeah. Like, I'm seriously.
It's the 2nd of March.
I've been running. Yeah, I got a call. Audible, speaking of the 2nd of March, because they were going to renew my annual plan that I got a spectacular discount for last year for 12 credits for a year. I didn't want to renew it this year. And I thought it came due on the 2nd, and apparently it was on the 1st. So, yeah, fix that.
Yeah.
So, there's a couple of things we wanted to do in this episode. I am going to go back to the... You know what? No, I'm not. We will save that conversation for a future episode that we can pre-record. So I won't tell anybody what I did to my office. You just have to tune in next week for that.
One of these weeks. I almost guarantee the next 2 episodes are going to be shorter than our normal episodes. So
they probably will be. But I do have some content to share, and I will probably also, because I've been thinking about doing this, and I've been planning for this kind of in my mind, like, oh, I should, take some of these recorders that I have, because I have like 7 of them or something. I don't even know how many. Guess what I found the other day that I had forgotten I had altogether?
An original microspeak?
No, I never had one of those. Oh man, I wouldn't even count the microspeak either.
PodTrack? No, you never had one of those.
Nope, the Portcaster.
Yeah, how'd that go for you?
It's like, man, I forgot I even had this thing. And yeah. So gotta tell them recorders. I thought about doing some recordings that we will probably drop in as bonus episodes first and then, eventually release them out as part of episodes in the future. Just to pick up some content. That's something Mike may want to do while he's moving around since he's got those fancy maybe Mike will come back with some interviews. That's what I'm hoping. He'll come
Yeah,
back with some interviews that we can drop into the show as well.
I did last
That
year.
that is one thing that I want to that we were talking about last week, that for episode 100, because we didn't plan for it because we've been working uh, and not technically working. I've been actually
Just
working.
actually legit working.
So we didn't have a big extravaganza planned or anything like that. And listen, it's just 100 episodes. Like, I mean, the only thing we're not doing is shutting the show down now that we reached 100.
See, people should be proud of us for that. This
So,
show, we're not shutting down 100 episodes. Although, when you think about it, technically this is 200 episodes for the two of us, 200 plus, which is kind of an even more impressive feat too. If you think,
yeah, it is. Like we've done over 200. We've probably done closer to 300 podcasts.
probably.
Because we did have some specials for the DM series too that got put out. Remember the 4th of July one where we were sitting outside with the fireworks?
Oh, I should find that and we should post that just randomly in the podcast feed.
Yeah, that was a good. Well, you should post it randomly around like the 4th because then it'll at least make a little more sense.
Well, I mean, yeah, it would. It would.
But one thing I wanted to do is kind of reflect on where we are with this show now and discuss some of what we want to do with the show for like the next 100 episodes. Like I'm taking these in 100 episode chunks, right? Because we did 100. We're at 100 right now, and for the next 100, what do we want to do to get the show to grow? But reflecting on the show, like we've talked about several times, so we'll try not to belabor the point. But we personally, I feel like it's an accomplishment for us, given how we had like a year and a half gap in the first podcast. I think that we published nothing.
It's like 2.5 years, I think. There was a big gap.
There was a huge gap right there, and it was not consistent publishing when we were recording. So for us to have dropped an episode on time every week, consistently sat down and
Except for
recorded
one.
an episode. Well, yeah, but there's that one slip. I mean,
It
I
still
think that's
came out.
about. It came out, and it's also during convention time, so it wasn't, even wait, we hadn't started technically working the year I went to Houston and then came back with COVID. Never mind. Or had we?
Had we? When was Houston?
Houston was
Yeah.
23.
Yeah, we had to have. Because we're on episode 100 and there's only 52 weeks in a year, so.
I kind of feel like I don't even remember when we started the show now.
It was February 23.
Okay. So yeah, I did. So we even got an episode in then. I think we may have recorded that episode when I first got back, and then
Yes.
because I wasn't sick when I first got back home.
Yeah.
But man, was I that Tuesday, dude? Like I was gone. But for us to have been able to sit down and successfully record a podcast every week with everything else that we've had going on around this, for both of us at different times, sometimes at the same time, sometimes at different times. For us to have consistently done this, I do feel like it's an accomplishment. I feel like we have a solid listener base. I do want to see that grow more, but I feel like our download numbers are relatively consistent. We have had some episodes that were higher numbers than others, but we consistently are hitting a number every week for downloads, which tells me, you 115-ish so or more people are listening to the show every week, which listen, like we're not getting paid to do this. We would like to make a little money off of this at some point, thanks to the tip jar subscribers. So that does help. But really we sat down to do this show because we like to do the show. Like it didn't start out as some people have started podcasts, I would say, in the past 10 years with the goal being I'm gonna make a living at doing a podcast. So with that being the case, I feel like it's been a great accomplishment. I feel like we've discussed a lot of interesting topics. We've of course devolved into our just, discussing technology conversations, but I feel like in more so than we did with the previous show, we've had that direction of talking about the technology that we're using. This reverb is driving me insane. I think I should turn my desk around back to where it was because
Mm,
like this worse. I'm gonna have to put some foam up before we record next time. I can't take it.
mm.
Uh
Maybe not for next time because you might have to record Monday or Tuesday.
look, I already got foam in there. I just need to slice it
Oh,
up in
okay.
some mattress pad. I just
Gotcha.
gotta figure out where to stick it and make it stop. But we've talked about the technology and how we're using it to get things done work wise, not just oh, this is cool and I played with it and did a thing. Oh, and Mike fell into my well, he didn't really fall into my trap. It wasn't really a trap in the sense of like I got you. But one thing that I had been gently nudging Mike towards has actually taken full form, and he is off to the races with it, which is he's writing code. He's using a assistant. He has a co-pilot with him to help write that code, but fine, he is writing code and automating things beyond the basics of automation, which is something that I wanted Mike to do and get into doing. And I never could push him into doing it because, trying to push somebody to do something that they aren't ready to do or don't feel like they're capable of doing is not going to uh, turn out well in most cases.
Mm,
But where Mike arrived at this at, I think, is partially, due to the rise of GPT, Copilot,
oh
etc.
yeah.
That is super helpful, right? Like that has made a difference. But also, I think once Mike started doing it and going through Python, I think the way that course was put together, which was in general very well done. I don't have too much to say about it because I wasn't there for most of it.
Mhm.
But I think the approach was well done. And for you, I think what you got out of it is the thing that I've been saying for years. Like we we all we all feel like imposters, except maybe Linus Torvald, who created Linux. He probably never feels like an imposter coder. But most of us feel like that. If you write code and whether you do it for a living or you do it as a helper tool, like I mean, there's tons of bash scripts that, you know, I have
Mm,
written over the years. There's tons of, you know, janky half-ass PHP or JavaScript, especially JavaScript, that I've got to do the thing I wanted to do and couldn't figure out a way to break it or leak data anywhere. So I'm like, all right, cool, that works. But you feel like an imposter. You feel like you don't know what you're doing. You feel like you're not, what am I doing over here? You look at, people posting stuff on GitHub that they wrote, and you're like, wow, this guy has a whole little project that does this thing. And it's like, well, anyway, I'm going to use it. Uh, but you start writing tools for yourself. And like, that's the thing that I really wanted you to get into doing because, you have a lot of, you've always had really good ideas at automating a task or doing some type of automation or building something. And usually you would go out and try to find it. And then, and I've done that too. Like you can't find it. And then it's like, oh, well, I guess that idea is done.
yep.
But what I've noticed just within the past 6 months with you is that you have really started to not only create a thing, but continue iterating over the thing to refine it down to, adding additional features or just getting it to run smoother or have some little nice touches on it. Which to me is a sign that you're really turning into a developer and not just a person that writes code to help them along because that is the difference I think, or it's one of the differences I think in people that kind of just hack something together and it works and okay, cool to oh no, I use this and it may just be for your personal use, but I want to maybe just use my arrow keys to pick an option, not
Mm,
to, do this way or tab a bunch of times. Like, no, I just want to use the arrow keys or, you know, give me the time plus the seconds or give me this first because I want that. So that has worked out very well. I was really excited last year this time when we were winding up for the Python course, because if I'm not mistaken, I think it started in March or
yep.
April of last
Yep.
year. That you were in it. Sadly, I wasn't able to participate as much as I wanted to, so I didn't make it all the way through. But
Neither
you
did
have
I.
you've done a lot of stuff
Hmm.
with that data, right? And you were there a whole lot more than I was. I think I was actually present for two actual classes, and I probably
Right.
did one of the assignments. And it's because I didn't have to listen to anybody tell me how to do that assignment. It's like, oh yeah, I can do that part. Like that's fairly straightforward. And I didn't cheat. Uh, so that was the reveal from last week. It was like, aha, Mike fell into my trap. But I've been
Hmm.
trying to
Hmm.
nudge Mike in that direction And what's really amazing to me about it is that, and both of us is paid for this service and neither one of us is using it, which is really weird and also kind of wasteful, but we'll get back to it. The web automation services like IFTTT or
Oh, I'm using
Zapier.
it.
Oh yeah, you got that. I mean, are you using it beyond that one thing that always runs all the time that
That
does a
that
thing?
that posts all my content for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I'm
Uh,
using it. Like for me right now,
I mean,
that's
I
running and
mean,
it's working.
I mean, technically, I'm using it because, like,
Yeah.
I still have applets that I have like two applets that run, actually
Yep.
three, because I still have that shortcut on my home screen that launches the note to append to the show notes. So, I mean,
Uh-huh.
I'm using it. It's not I'm actually building anything new with it. Is what I meant by like
Mm.
we're not really using it. But that used to be a fallback for a lot of stuff. Like, oh, I'll just go use one of these web services or find a web service that hooks this stuff together or, whatever. And, you needed a podcast downloader. I don't think, to my knowledge, it didn't sound like from talking to you when you were working on it that you even went to go look for a different
Nope.
solution. You were like, oh, I can just write a Python script that'll do this thing. And,
Yep.
and
My going to look for a solution was reaching out to ChatGPT saying, "Hey, here's a problem I need to solve. Can you help me solve it?" It said, "Yeah, I can do that. Here you go." And I'm like, "Yeah, this doesn't work, but here's why it's not working. Can we try to fix that?" And it's like, "Yeah, let me make those changes." And then I told it this still isn't working. It gave me code again. I said, "This isn't working. I'm going to go ask your friend for some help." And then I opened GitHub Copilot and dropped that into there and said, "Hey, why is this not working? ChatGPT told me it should be." And it said, "It's not working because of this reason. Here's the revised code." And I dropped that into VS Code. And VS Code is an everyday app for me now. And I remember a year ago, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do anything. What do you mean VS Code? Forget VS Code. Now it's one of those apps that is in my Alt tab order, that's always available, or my Command tab order. It's always open, and I'm doing something with it, tweaking something, modifying something, trying to figure stuff out. And that's a huge change from where I was in the past. I had a project earlier this week, and I sat there and I went through the process and I copied all of these links to the top of the document and I pasted it. And it probably took me, I don't know, 5 minutes. I keep telling people 15 minutes, and anywhere between 5 to 15 minutes to do that. And then I said, this is a little ridiculous. How can I automate this? And I opened my good old GitHub friend and I said, "Hey, GitHub Copilot, here's what I want to do. I need to move these links from this place to this place in Microsoft Word. What would you do to automate that?" It gave me a tool, a procedure. It didn't work. So I tried iterating over that to say, "Hey, how can I do this? This is the error that I'm getting, or this is what it's doing." It gave me another one. It worked great. And then I went to use it the next day and it did not work. And I'm like, well, this is frustrating. But that put me down the path of, well, can I automate this document using Python to make this happen? And yeah, long story short, what was taking me between 5 to 15 minutes now runs in about 2 seconds.
which is nice. And I
Yeah.
can hear some people saying, well, Mike's just going to Copilot and doing all of this stuff. He's not really a developer. He's building the skills, right? Because what I know of PHP, what I know of well, I know HTML pretty well. I know CSS fairly decently, basics anyway. I don't do a lot with the animations, but all of that was from me starting out copying other people's code and just repetitively seeing the same things over and over again. Like you
Mm.
start to learn how stuff works and then you're able to do your own modifications. And I honestly feel like for those of us who have not made a career of programming, who didn't go to school for it or didn't sit down and really learn how to program thoroughly, whether you went to, went to university for it or you just did it in your spare time, until you were good enough to start writing apps or whatever. I think having things like Copilot specifically stands out to me, even though Claude has done pretty well with code. GPT can do okay with code from time to time. I feel like Copilot is just so specifically fixed training. That's honestly where I feel like a lot of the language models are gonna have to head if they're gonna see growth and see significant improvements is starting to break away from the general model and start focusing in on specific areas where they can be better. Look at deep research. Like that's not a tool you're going to use every single day unless you have a job that requires you to do that.
No, but
But in
it is
general,
nice.
like I'm not going to, fire up the deep research tool all the time. Like that's not the way to handle that. But for somebody that when you need something done in that way, and I think that's what we're kind of seeing. It's just it's taking a while to get there, and also people are chasing waterfalls because the AI has to be as smart as humans. And
Mm.
like I told Tia the other day, nope, it was today. The human brain often imitated, never duplicated. There's not a way you can have a machine think the way a human does. Sometimes because our thought processes are very inefficient.
Mm.
And sometimes connections happen for us that are just illogical how you got there. But a computer is going to go more in a straight logical line, so it's never going to duplicate what we do. I need to listen to this week's Intelligent Machines because I think somebody was on there. Was it Ray Kurzweil? Did you know?
Yes,
Did you
I
listen?
think so.
I gotta check that out. But I was happy to see Mike doing things that are automating things. And again, we talked about this very early in technically working. I was happy to see Mike doing things to automate, and we talked about this way back early in the technically working when we talked about automation. And one of the key steps in automation, before you automate a thing, you have to know what the actual task entails. So you don't just take off like, oh, you need me to do, somebody sends you a document and says, hey, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. Well, if you've never automated a thing like that before, you don't start off by trying to automate that document processing. You go do the actual steps. Uh, and you do it enough to where you get irritated, like this is taking way too long and should be automated. And two, you know exactly what needs to happen. So if the automation runs amok, you know how to put a stop to it and fix it
Hmm.
or adjust things. But man, you have been writing uh, scripts. Now, I'm assuming you've updated this podcast downloader. Did you check out the Git repo and do all of that stuff?
Nope, I haven't touched this podcast downloader since we set it up in GitHub. So
Okay.
mainly because it's working, like it's doing what I need it to do. So there isn't anything I need to change right this minute. I laughed because one of my iterations of manipulating this Word document last week, and it's going to be a document it's going to be a similarly formatted document that I'll be working in every week now. Ended up accidentally creating 3,000 pages in the Word document of blank lines. And I told GitHub, I'm like, this is not right. Now there's 3,600 pages in this document. I don't understand what it did. And it's like, oh, this is what happened. But I laughed because I knew fairly quickly that I needed to stop that automation from running or this is going to get out of hand.
Oh man. So what was the reason? Like what made it create a bunch of
I was an
like
infinite loop.
okay. Yep.
So it just kept going and going and going, and there was no context for it to know when to end that loop. So it just kept doing what it was told to do. It did it.
Yeah. That's computers. They generally do what you tell them to do. So
Fun
so
time.
that's where that VBA script came. I was like, what the hell is Mike doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Visual Basic? What are you doing? What's going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah. Well, that's what GitHub told me to use for automating Microsoft Word
Word.
documents.
Yeah, it makes sense. I didn't know what you were automating. I just saw something about VBS. It's like Mike's doing Visual Basic. What has happened in the world?
Because for listeners who don't know and they don't see into mine and Damashe's text messages or iMessages, lucky you, sometimes I or Damashe will just drop the other one. Something might be a response from ChatGPT, might be a link, might be some code, just random with no context to it at all, and expect the other person to figure out what we're trying to say or do. So that's how some of our message threads look.
Yeah, I knew he was doing something. I was like, but Visual Basic, like what does the world come to? Mike is no man. You're going the wrong way. That's not that way.
Yeah, yeah. Python solves my problems, I think. So I've been playing with
Python
it.
is super useful and it does help automate a lot of Google stuff. That's really my extent of Python usage, and a lot of that has just been, manipulating some code snippets and searching Stack Overflow. This is before GPT days. Searching Stack Overflow for answers to do stuff with the API for
Mm.
Google Workspace. I think I said Google Apps the first time, but it's Workspace, Workspace, Workspace. It's cool.
So, what are we doing over the next 100 episodes?
The same old stuff we've been doing for the finals. So one thing I would like to start doing, and we've done a couple of interview episodes, which is something we said we wanted to do. But one thought that occurred to me when me and you were talking the other day is that it would be great to start reaching out. And if you're one of these people, feel free to reach out, or if you have some suggestions, reach out. But to bring on people who are professionals in other fields unrelated to anything that we do, to talk about how they do their job, what tools they're using, or just to advise, those of us, give advice. Like, just come on and have a conversation. Basically, like, I don't want to really put too many parameters on it, but just come on and have a conversation about their job and things that you would like to know, things that we should know, things that you wish people knew about your job because they don't get the difference. Like, what is the difference in an accountant and a bookkeeper? Well, if you show up as an accountant, you can tell us, like, hey, as an accountant, I do X, Y, and Z, and a bookkeeper does A, B, and C, and that's what makes the difference. And what tools you use, what advice you have, what are things that you wish people knew about your job. Basically, it's how you get work done. But bringing on people who are professionals, other than ourselves, that are, running their own business, and how you make that work. And there's no prerequisite about you having to be blind or anything like that. Just be aware when you come on the show that we are. So we're gonna ask questions probably related to that. Another thing I would like to do is for us to, we're going to do a little bit more experimentation, I think. There's enough stuff laying around that we all have where we can either capture some interesting moments in life and bring those, in working life, and bring those back to the show as Farrago buttons that we can stream. Uh,
I really shouldn't read email while we're recording.
and I close my email because I'll start reading stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I started
Subject
reading
line
AT
catches your
Guy's
attention.
email.
Subject line will catch your attention. You're like, oh, I got to see what that's about.
Yeah. JJ sending emails? What's he sending? Oh no, I better go check that out.
Make sure he ain't messing up nothing. What are
Yeah.
you doing, man? Would you get out of here? Stop doing stuff. Like, stop it. Just don't send emails. Don't do it. Stop.
So I think it's going to be an interesting next 100 episodes. It's been fun. I think we've talked about this. I almost want to go back and listen to episode 1, but another part of me is like, I already heard that, so I don't know that I want to go listen to it. But I think I'm going to go listen to it, because how is the conversation different in February of 2023 versus March of 2025? And then that almost says, well, should I go way back to 2017? I think it was when we started the DM series and listen to that. The first episode for that one was managing your inbox. You know what? I guarantee you, I am nowhere near or nowhere closer to managing my inbox than I was 10 years ago. Or
my inbox is just out of control. Here's been my solution for managing your inbox. Anybody wants to tip?
Command A, delete.
No, I don't do that one.
I do every once in a while.
So what I start doing is for one, because I'm on all my email is somewhere in Apple's system, I start marking people as VIPs. So at least I will get a notification, or I can jump to the VIPs folder and see. That way I don't miss stuff from people, because so much of what I get now, here's the problem with being a business owner, and I don't feel like I should have to pay for this to resolve this problem, although I probably will at some point.
Same box.
You start to get a ton of email that is just stupid, because you went and signed up for something that you had to sign up for. For example, I applied for my DUNS number with Spirals. I get emails from some company every single week that I don't even remember checking a box or seeing an option to check or uncheck a box for them to send me emails. And it's like a whole lot of HR stuff. And I'm like, I don't even, I mean, I have HR. That is the thing I have to kind of think about. But
Hmm.
I'm the HR, and all the stuff you're telling me about, it doesn't apply to me as a business owner.
And why don't you click the unsubscribe link at the bottom?
Because sometimes it doesn't work. And I'm pretty sure I did this once.
Mm. Yep, that's the same reason I don't either. Like, there's no
I
jokes
just
in there
delete it.
about. Yeah, yeah. Just
I
it's
just
just
delete it.
faster to delete it than to open it and go to the bottom and click the unsubscribe link. Have you played at all with Apple on iOS, the unsubscribe feature on iOS? Because I have not.
I
I
have
remember it
hit,
getting added, but
yeah, I've hit that. It's also on the Mac too,
ah,
and Mac Mail. I've hit that a couple of times on stuff that I'm like, I absolutely don't even know where this came from. I can't really tell you if it worked or not because I see so much crap and I'm like, I don't know where this came from.
yeah.
Uh, Sanebox has been something I've been thinking about paying for, but then I gotta really, I need to project a little bit out to kind of think about what am I going to ultimately do with email anyway, for spirals especially. Uh, but also was looking at, what's that other thing? Clean email.
Mm.
Uh,
Another recommendation from Doug, I think.
Yep, it was. It was definitely a Doug recommendation. I saw a really good comparison, and if I can find it, I'll send it to Mike between what Clean Email gives you and what Sandbox gives you for the price. So I may give Clean Email a try at some point and see how that works out.
Quick side note, Doug, if you listen to the show, drop me a WhatsApp message and let me know because I don't think I think I've asked you and you've done that graceful thing you do and tell me about something Ubiquity announced or something as your response to me asking you if you listen to the show. So curious, drop me a message. Let me know if you listen.
Ooh, what's up, Doug? Well, not right now.
Yeah.
Do you listen to my show at all?
And he'll say, "Hey, look at what Ubiquity announced."
Yeah, I ain't mind that, man. I saw that. I saw it. And look, I can't do it right now.
His
It's too
comment
much.
was, "If I wouldn't have just bought a Dream Machine Pro or Dream whatever he just bought, then I'd be interested. But I'm not interested right now."
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like I've bought enough for the network that I currently have built, and it's also here's a weird thing. Like just staying on this tangent for a second with Ubiquity because they did literally announce some new stuff. Because I went to the website looking for one thing, I was like, oh wait, there's new stuff. What's new? Oh, that looks interesting. Oh, that's wait a minute. So if I buy that thing, which is like $200 more than the thing I already have now, I will get some benefits out of that thing. But I'm also gonna have to go buy another switch because this thing doesn't have power over Ethernet ports on it, or not
Mm.
enough.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we doing here? Like I'm not. Now I probably could repurpose the Dream Machine SE that I have, and make it just a part of
But
the
you don't need
network
to.
instead of being. But I don't need to do anything about any of that right now. What I
Yeah.
need to do is buy these switches to put up in the attic so I can run my Ethernet drops. I haven't bought them yet. I actually got to get up there in the attic and poke around. I just got stuff cleaned out enough, so that I can do that easily without knocking something over. Part of that busy week, man, getting product out of here. Little stuff over here in the corners, like, oh, that's still good. Let's take that somewhere. Oh, it's going somewhere. That's going somewhere. I don't know who's going to eat it, but it's getting out of here. Can't sell it if I don't move it. So,
Yep. So
yeah,
someone
man's
asked.
been.
Oh, good.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
So someone asked me, "How is Damashe's business doing? How is Spirals doing?" And I'm not sure if you want to talk about it, but it sounds like you're doing busy, but things are going good with.
Things are going really well. So first thing, and thanks, because I actually was thinking about this earlier in the week. And I was like, oh, I should, kind of do a somewhat of a follow up to the conversation I was having. The How I went from doing 2 or 3 jobs pretty well to doing 4 or 5 poorly, or whatever, however that went.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Uh, so here's what I first did, and I'll get, I won't take too much time with this, but here's what I first did. So the first thing I did, and I had been working on doing that when I had that conversation. I just felt like it was reasonable to air that out so other people could hear, because everybody hits these walls at times with a business when you're trying to run it yourself. When you own your own business, you run into these pitfalls, or not necessarily pitfalls, but you hit these little brick walls and things that you got to work around. So because I ultimately take responsibility for whatever goes right or wrong in the business, especially if it goes wrong, because it means I probably didn't do something or didn't recognize something I should have recognized. I started, instead of being frustrated with the lack, I basically took the help that I had and tried to optimize their abilities to the best that I could. So instead of lamenting the fact that, oh, you're not good at this, you can't help with that situation, what are you able to do, and how can I maximize the time that I have you working to best benefit the business? So that's the first thing that I really worked on doing. I also threw a bunch of stuff out of the window that was like, people were like, "Oh, I do it this way, or you should do it this way, or this is how it has to be done." And I was like, "Look, I gotta make this move, so it's gonna have to move some sort of way." So there's things I did that I was against doing initially, uh, but I did them. Like, one example of that's nothing really dramatic, but one example is like, I really didn't want to bring stuff back into the house to use it. But, I started going out, and I come out here and grab my boxes of chips and take them in the house and
Mm.
just pack them up in the house and then take them back out and put them back where they were supposed to go. Because it was freaking freezing out here. Like, I'm not going to do it until it's not freezing out here, or until
Mhm.
there's more help. But it's like, if I do it in the house, I'll get it done. So there's that aspect of things. I did simplify to a certain extent my shopping process. So that took a lot of time out that I was spending going back and forth to different stores and stuff, down to, I basically have three places that four places I physically have to go to, depending on what's going on. That's the snack place up in Birmingham. And I'm looking at trying to work out a way for deliveries to possibly work with them down here, so I don't have to go up there every week. Coca-Cola, which I have to go to Coca-Cola and pick up my Coca order. Meet the Buffalo Rock guy, who's the Pepsi distributor that I deal with, somewhere on a day. When I put in an order today, and it's 2 days later. So meet him somewhere. And then occasionally I will have to stop at Sam's, but usually my Sam's trips are now limited to uh, making use of the technology. If I can't get something delivered to the house, uh, then I will schedule it for a pickup. Uh, and they have weight limitations on what they'll bring to your house. So, like, sometimes that has been an issue, but I'll just schedule the pickup and go pick it up, and they bring out a cart and load the stuff on the van, and then I'm out of here.
Mhm.
Or if I'm packing up for somewhere, like going down to the university, for example, and I'm like, oh, I don't have enough candy is usually what it is. So if I don't have enough candy, it's like, oh, well, I'll put in an order that night, pick it up at 7:30 the next morning, and get on the road with the new load of candy and the rest of the stuff. So just kind of optimizing around stuff like that is another thing I've done. Now, in the past 2 weeks, so this Sunday, so this lady just finished her second full week working with me. Her
Mhm.
first day was actually a Friday, and I took her out with one of my other helpers that has been around, just to kind of let her get a feel for what the job was going to entail and see if she was going to be okay with it, and able to keep up and all of that. But she just finished her second full week, and she's been great. She's been absolutely good. There's still training that is happening as we encounter different situations. I point out things, but generally she's picked up on what needs to be done and what is required of her fairly well. Uh, She's a consistent worker, and she shows up to work. Like, show up to hang out. She ain't showing up because she just want to make a little money. She actually shows up to work. So that has been a major game changer. I was having a conversation with Laura a few days ago, and just discussing the things you deal with as a person that has to employ other people. Dealing with employees, and like I told her, I'm like, we'd had this conversation a year ago. I could have sympathized with what you were going through because, yada yada.
Mhm.
But today is like, yeah, I really empathize with what you're saying because this is a problem. Like it is a real. It is. You would think. You would think. I mean, I know there are people that are just lazy. Like there are some people that are just who they are. Just like there's some people that are overworkers. Like they're gonna do way too much and not take time to enjoy life.
Mhm.
Which is, I don't know about you, but I kind of want to enjoy my life a little bit. I don't want to work all the time. Like I need a break. I gotta do things. But
Yep.
you would think, given the 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 economy, the prices of stuff, that people would be looking for work. And I get if you don't want to go stuff in a machine or drive a van around or do whatever, right? But you would think people want to go to work. No, they just want to sit around and complain about not having any money. And I don't understand that way of thinking. Um, but yeah, things are going pretty well. I think I'm at a point now that I will actually legitimately there's a couple of more problems I need to solve for. And as soon as this smart system comes online for the machine so that I can actually see down to the spiral what has been sold, that will help resolve one of those issues, which is I don't have to spend as much time packing up because I'll know exactly what I need to take
Mm.
to locations as I'm packing. So it's like I don't need to pack up like they're empty and get there. And hopefully I mean, on the one hand, you kind of want them to be empty, but at the same time, like if I'm servicing them in the way that I have been able to get around the stuff for the past 2 weeks, they really never should be completely empty unless just like something weird happened.
Right.
Because there should be something there, right? So I should show up and need to fill in gaps more so than like, oh, this machine is completely empty because I missed a week because somebody ain't show up on a day. I had to move stuff around. So, but being able to see exactly what is sold will help when it comes to packing up because I'm gonna have to pack everything like they are empty because I don't want to get there and then not have brought something because I'm like, oh, well, they probably didn't buy all those,
Mhm.
spicy sweet chili Doritos, and then I get there and like, all the spicy sweet chili Doritos are gone. It's like, oh well, crap, I ain't got nothing to put there.
But if you could pull a
Uh,
report and say, I
so
need to
that'll
bring
help resolve
these,
that
then
problem. Uh-huh. Yep. I can see what sold. Like, oh, they sold, I sold 5 bags of those. So, I need to take 5 bags of that back. I need to take a whole 9 or whatever. I just take what I need. So that'll help shorten up the packing up time. And the other problem, I don't really know how to deal with that. I mean, I'm just gonna have to start making routine trips to the dump, I guess. This trash is abnormal, dude. Like it's too much.
did you ever make it to the dump yet?
Nope.
Ah, oh, I can empathize with that because once you get rid of what you have, then everything's going to seem clean and great, and then it's going to slowly start adding back up. Yeah, so you'll have to get that added to your schedule of a disposal day. There you go.
Yeah. I think
So
a part of what'll help with that too though is that one better I'll say better inventory. I haven't poorly managed my inventory, but having somebody that's if a little bit more efficient when it comes to reading to help me, you know, run through dates quicker before I walk away from a distributor with a product. So
mhm,
I don't end up
mhm.
with stuff that's short dated. So that'll help resolve that. Um, the other thing that I think is going to help out with that too is there's often times where I will have trash. Like, let's say I go to the university, for example. There are dumpsters that they don't mind us using on that
Yeah.
campus. It's just I don't think about it in the moment that I'm there because usually when I have been there, my main focus is we got to get to all these buildings before, this time of the day because after that, my car is not going to get me in and nobody's going to be in there to let me in. So it means I
Mhm.
don't service that machine. So it's like, get the product off the truck. I'll deal with the trash later. Since I'm not, hopefully won't be scrambling anymore as much like that and just feeling the pressure to get stuff done because I'm on top of it. Then I can actually have time to think like, oh yeah, there's a dumpster over here by this building. Let's go dump what we got off the van now, which means I'm not even bringing it back to the house.
Yeah. Yeah, and that'll help a lot with both unpacking when you get home because now you have to go through the trash and figure out what's been emptied and what you're using and what you got to go pack away. But it'll also give you that confidence of knowing, hey, I have less trash at home. Is the person who has wrapped up her second week now? Is she a driver or is she just helping as someone else drives you to your
Oh
location?
no, she's driver.
Okay.
Yeah, she drives, she helps load machines. And look, on a simple basis for people listening, like I'm flexible with employees to a certain extent. Like if I found a person that she just happens to be able to help do everything. But I absolutely gotta have is somebody that can drive, that is relatively familiar with the area or can learn the areas that we're gonna have to be in and is observant enough to catch things that I may not think about or just may be too busy to have considered or reminded or thought to ask about. I would be absolutely fine with a person that needed to come in and we bring them a folding chair and they sit down and I load the machines and they make sure I ain't got nothing turned around backwards or upside down and then we leave.
Hmm.
Be fine with that too. She works out because she can drive, she can do, all the stuff, and we do fairly well together working as a team. So that has been working out pretty well. And she's caught on quickly to not just what needs to be done, but specifically the way I want certain stuff done. There's still some training there, and there's going to be some forgetfulness there. But
Oh yeah.
as I pointed out, that's okay. The fact that you're working makes a big difference, and I remember because I know what you're going to do sometimes before they do it. Like not to get to too much detail because we probably want to go on to a different topic, but we were at a location the other day, and I knew she was going to do a thing that she was going to do. Like I knew it was going to happen before she did it.
Hmm.
I didn't say anything.
But you were forecasting, how am I going to react? Not react, but what are we going to do to solve for
Yeah.
what she's about to do?
And then when she did it, I went and looked over there, and yep, she had done exactly what I knew she was about to do. And I was like, okay, so in this particular instance, because at this particular location, this is different. And because everything was empty, I can see why
Mhm.
you did what you did. But this machine only gets candy. The cracker stuff goes in that machine over there. We don't split because most machines, you got a little bit of everything. You got a row
Mhm.
with crackers and the protein bars and stuff on it. Then you got a row of candy. So she was stacking that machine like she would do any other machines. Like, yeah, but we're here, and this location is different because there's two snack machines right beside each other. So we load this one up with all the sweet crap, and then that one over there gets all the chips and the crackers and the protein bars and all that.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear things are going well and that it's growing into a easier thing to do. I've noticed, I mean, so I think with me, the biggest, and I'll say this selfishly, it's funny because Mallory and I were talking about this the other day. I think the biggest challenge for me when you've gone through this program is prior to January of 2024, you and I would have spoken at least 3 or 4 times per day, and those calls would have been typically no shorter than a half hour. Now we speak maybe 2 or 3 times a week, and our calls are, at 45 minutes at the longest, maybe an hour sometimes. And so that's been an interesting change for on my part of it. But I feel like we've talked more over the last 3 weeks than we've probably talked over the last couple of months because the show was when we
Yeah.
talked over the last few months.
Yep. Yep. And that is a side effect of me not constantly trying to do something or taking a nap. What a lot of
It's funny. Last time we were talking, you're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go take a nap."
Yeah, that has been a lot about like, oh, I'm working. Oh, I gotta do this crap. I forgot to do that thing over there. Let me go do that. Okay, I really better go sit down somewhere. Okay, I'll sit down, take a little nap, and get up. Okay, now I'm back to doing stuff. But yeah,
Mhm.
and that has been weird to me too. Like there are times where I'm like, oh, and then sometimes I'll call Mike and Mike didn't answer, or like Mike sends me the voicemail. I'm like, well, shit, man, this is about the only time I had to talk to you. What the hell are you doing?
And then I'll call you back, and you'll send me the voicemail because you're doing something else or something. Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
man, look, just cancel that, like, pause that meeting for a second, dude. 'Cause we ain't talked to like since the last show. Like,
The problem is, if I pause it, then we'll actually talk forever.
right.
So yeah, I'm excited. That's good. I mean, you when did Spiral start? Like, what's your
So,
birthday?
that's a really good question. It is either the 22nd or the 24th of July
Okay, so
of
end of July.
24. Yeah, end of July.
So you're coming up on 1 year, fairly quickly, actually.
Yep. So I formed the LLC. I did the paperwork and all of that to form the LLC. I think it was on the 22nd of
Mhm.
July. And I took over this route starting August, like August 7th, I think is when I inventoried into the first location. So I've been operating the route for the most part since the first part of August, early August. I think the last I know the last location that I actually inventoried in and took over from the person that was temporarily operating it was early September, which is the rest area up here. But everything else came along in August. So I pretty much took over the route in August. So yeah, we're definitely past 6 months. We're coming up on the year. I think I bumped my head enough in the first 6 months. I learned some stuff. There's definitely, I knew this, but there's definitely differences coming out of class and dealing with actual real world stuff. There are also things that you realize that and I feel like when you start a business where you're the boss of the business, you learn different things depending on the business. In this case, I had to learn that I feel like I hate micromanaging people, and that's a part of what I sometimes have to do. So I've had to cope with that. Uh, and learn to adjust to that and not allow my irritation of having to do it reflect on the employee. The whole fact I have to tell people I have employees is just weird. So it's a lot of adjusting, figuring out, and honestly, like I'm even grateful at this point for the somewhat lackluster workers that I have had, or the sporadic workers that I have had that worked. Because if nothing else, one particular person, like without them being around when they were around, like this probably would have fell apart months ago. Like I wasn't getting everything done in timely fashion the way I want to get it done, but at least things were getting done as opposed to not getting done at all. And I'm also grateful for the fact because it helped me learn what I needed in an employee and what I didn't need. And what were things I could sacrifice from an employee versus things that had to be, that were absolute requirements. Like there's no working around this. If you're out with me at a location, you have to have these capabilities, or these, I was about to say features, but that's so that ain't right. That's not right.
Skills.
Yeah, there you go.
Skills are human features.
Yeah, skills.
There's our show title.
So that, I mean, even through the rough parts, like I was constantly learning stuff, and I'm still learning stuff, but I was constantly learning stuff, and like some of it was just like, okay, here's what not to do, or here's what to ensure you ask a person about before you hire them, or even go any further in the interview. Like, okay, look, can you do this? Can you do that? Do you have that capability? So it's been a ride. We're coming up on a year. Uh, One thing that is nice about being able to move in the way that I need to move with this route is, yeah, it gives me back more time to be able to devote to other things, but also improves the income a little bit too, just a little bit.
Yeah, that's important. That's why you're going through all this.
Exactly. But I'm at the point that I'm really starting to look again, like, seriously look at expansion. Like not I'm not gonna jump on it next week or this coming week, but like I can now start to strategize on places to try to expand the business because I'm now getting to a point where, like, okay, I'm on top of stuff. Nobody is calling me to say my machine is empty. Nobody's calling my rep to say their machine is empty. So we're good.
Good. Well, I got one more topic to bring up. We've kind of saved it towards the end that I will mention here. And then, do you have anything else you want to bring up before we wrap this up?
Nope.
Okay. It was announced last week, so I can talk about it, and I started on Wednesday. I have accepted a position with the American Council of the Blind. I am now the Membership Services Administrative Assistant. I think I got that title correct. Honestly, I'll be transparent there. For a little while, I had to go back and look at my signature to say, what is my title? Because I did not remember it. I would call myself the Member Admin Aide or something like that. So I am helping Cindy Hollis, who is the manager of membership services, I think is her title. But I'm helping her with facilitating a lot of member engagement activities. Right now, the biggest focus is me getting familiar with the processes and systems used to run ACB community. And if you hear ACB community, Damashe knows I've had involvement with this since 22, I think is when I first, 21 or 22 is when I first got involved. You might not know exactly what that is. And right now we are facilitating about 108 events every week. There is a mailing list with just over 3,300 people on that are getting the daily schedule 6 days, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Friday has Saturday and Sunday's schedule on it. And we're working with volunteers who are hosting those events. That means they're controlling the event. People have described it as a virtual bouncer. So they're the one who helps facilitate keeping it safe, welcoming, and respectful when people are engaging. We're also working with volunteers who are facilitating the events. That is presenting the content that they are that they're coming to the ACB community platform to put on. And then we're working with individuals who are helping with the tech side of things of connecting Clubhouse and Zoom or broadcasting from Zoom to ACB Media.
Hey, I wanted that job.
Yeah. What did you say?
I said, hey, I wanted that job.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been a fun job to have, right?
Yeah, just hook up the stuff to the stuff. I know how to do that.
And then things break, and then you're the first person that people have to reach out. That is the funnest job, I think, though, is connecting technology and making technology work. So I've been playing with Audio Hijack, putting that together. That is why I'm going to DC after CSUN, is I'm going over to the ACB Leadership Conference for 4 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yeah, 4 days. And I will probably be helping, I will be helping over there quite a bit. And then right before we started recording, I told Damashe, I said, hey, I need you to talk and test so we can do a quick test stream to see if everything's working well. Because I'll be starting to do a bit of the tech for some of the events as well. And frankly, I've been in this job for 3 days. So I know a little bit about what I'm doing. I know a lot of what I want to do and what I anticipate doing, but I'm excited for this next adventure and curious where it's going to take me. Some listeners, I think we talked about it, know that back in November, I applied for a job with another organization, went through the process of interviewing for it, got accepted for it, and it was a great confidence boost because the pay was literally more money than I had ever made in my entire life in 1 year, almost, it seemed like. But it was a significant amount of money, and I was super proud of myself and excited. And of course, as we've talked about in the past, I was also afraid of imposter syndrome and stuff like that. And that gig ended up falling through and not going to where I wanted it to go. But it gave me the confidence to go out there and put in applications. And yes, I do run a very small business. And that very small business is doing okay, especially with the clients that I have right now and some of the work that I'm doing. But I wanted to find something that was full-time, that gave me some benefits, and that allowed me an opportunity to use my skills where I could make a big impact. And I think some of the some of the automation skills has already been helpful that I've learned. And I told Cindy, I said, yeah, I did this and I automated this, and now it only takes me about 2 seconds to do instead of a certain amount of time. And she's like, you did what? And she was super excited to hear about that. That's one thing going into a new position that you kind of wonder is my boss person going to be okay with me automating this? Should I tell them that I automated this? But if I can make people's lives easier, then why not? And so that's been my big news that I am glad I can talk about now. I hope that we will learn. Well, I know I will learn more about the experience and how all of the processes go. And honestly, I like learning new things, and this is a good opportunity for me to learn a lot of new things. And yeah, so that's my news, and I will report back on how things are going probably in April, so I can get through all this stuff. And some of our content's going to be pre-recorded, so I won't be able to give an accurate statement, but expect April-ish, and we'll do a check-in and see how things are going. This does also mean that because of the way that things land, I'm putting this in Damashe's ear so we can start planning for it, although neither one of us will do anything until the end of June, and that is July is going to be a rough month as well, because Damashe's going to be at the NFB conference with AT guys unless something drastic changes, and then I'm going to be in Texas with ACB for their conference. So yeah, we'll have to.
I mean, it's not different. We've been dealing with that for a couple of years. We'll be
well, that is true. Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll just do a live stream from the exhibit hall floor
from both conferences at the same time.
At the same time, yeah. We'll just do that.
Yeah. There we go.
Because we're technically working, man.
Well,
congratulations, man.
Congratulations.
Glad that did come through for you. I knew absolutely nothing about this until he just told me. No.
Yeah, I don't think you knew a lot about it. You knew some of the stuff, but yeah.
But good deal, man. So what I'm hearing is you're working your way through the ACB. You're taking that over. So I guess I have to go take over the NFB so we can
not taking over ACB.
so we can make the groups work together better.
Oh, that would be nice.
Wouldn't it though? I mean, geez, we're all blind out here, man. Like, get your stuff together. I said that. Mike did not say that. So
the opinions expressed on this show.
The opinions expressed at this moment were those of Damashe Thomas do not accurately or inaccurately reflect those of Michael Babcock at all in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
Well, I was going to say the opinions of Michael don't necessarily reflect the opinions of the ACB either. So.
Oh, well, yeah, there's that part right there too. We'll get a cleaner recording of that next time. So that we can just drop that in at appropriate.
At just random points, yeah. So I've set up Loopback, got it up and running, got several virtual devices excited for this. I got Farrago up and running, ready to just randomly throw audio in when I need to. I got Audio Hijack queued up, need to create a couple of sessions. Thankfully, you can duplicate sessions. So you set up one session and then you just duplicate it and then change the credentials for the streaming service. And I need to clean up my Audio Hijack sessions because there's a lot of stuff that doesn't need to be there. So, yeah. Fun times.
Good deal, man. Good deal. Maybe you can get them on Zoom ISO at some point.
We'll talk more about that.
Zoom ISO is interesting. I really wish it wasn't as.
There was an update recently.
I'm not gonna say. Yeah, I still get the emails. I just it's not useful enough to me. Well, I'm not gonna say useful enough. It is not a requirement for anything I'm doing right now for me to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
But it is super cool to play with. And Zoom is still letting them run with that. So that is nice.
Didn't Zoom buy them or did they buy something else?
No, they bought them. But they've let them.
But they haven't sucked it into the Zoom Workplace application.
They just let them continue to operate as their own kind of entity and do their thing, which is great. But it makes sense for them to come in house because they get a little bit more direct support from Zoom now because they're inside. They can just go across the hall or whatever. Well, I guess Zoom. I was gonna say like Slack somebody, but they probably actually just use the Zoom chat and like, hey, we're working on this thing and this part right here is broken, and then
developers like, okay, we'll fix that eventually.
Engineers like, all right, we got you, man. You gonna try it again. Or they get the typical developer answer. Well, it works on my end. I don't know what's wrong with you.
I can't replicate that issue you're having.
Well, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. This has been episode 100 of Technically Working. Nothing spectacular because we're just still doing the same things that we were always doing, which is trying to grow, trying to progress.
Hmm.
That's the other thing I want to do over the next 100 episodes is work on growing our listener base. But that is we'll discuss those topics further in the future. Probably be a part of one of our pre-recorded episodes on some strategies that we may want to deploy. Feel free, absolutely free, to reach out. Uh, Feedback at technicallyworking.show is where you can email us. I did check my
Blue
what is
sky.
this thing? Yeah, there you go. Uh 3 times this week. I had not seen a mention from anybody over there. I did not get a notification from Mona, so I'm assuming nobody mentioned me on Mastodon about anything for 100. So there's that. And the blue sky experiment is over. So yeah. You can message me, but I'm not going to promise you when I'm going to see it.
Right.
But if you want to talk to me on social media, I will respond to you a whole lot quicker on Mastodon. He's on Mastodon. He is Payon, Payowon, at dragonscave.space. That is DRAGONSCAVE.space. And I am Damashe, Damashe, at technically.social because I really am. Hashtag technically working on Mastodon will just get you in a conversation. I have that. I love Mona. Like I have that thread. I have that hashtag saved as a tab. So I just jump over to that and see what's going on with that. Not a whole lot of activity, but it'll build itself up. But please capitalize the T and the W if you can. We appreciate that. Just makes the screen reader read it correctly instead of it coming out all mush mouth. And you got the email feedback at technicallyworking.show. We appreciate every last one of you who listens. Absolutely. And as I said earlier in the episode, we have a good base audience because you're downloading and listening to the show
Consistently.
every week consistently. So we truly appreciate it because we show up to try to do it to put out something that hopefully helps you in some sort of way or entertains you, one or the other, whichever. Uh, as always, very much appreciative of those of you who are Tip Jar subscribers. Shout out to our new Tip Jar subscriber. I did not see your name because I didn't even look at the email that Mike forwarded me. I just saw that we had a new Tip Jar subscriber, and we don't make a habit of yelling out people's names on the show because they subscribe anyway. So, but thank you very much. We appreciate it. And because listen, have you seen the price of eggs? That's all I'm going to say about that. So the fact that you choose to give us a little bit of your money every month, we truly appreciate it. Uh, Thanks for everybody for listening. And we will have an episode for you next week.
I just bought a dozen eggs. Yeah, I seen the price.
Shit, man. Tia told me a 60 count of this is what I used to buy a lot. It was the 60 count of large the brown cage free, whatever the hell, eggs. She's like, they're $30. I said, you said what?
Yeah, 50 cents an egg. Sounds about right.
I was like, what the hell, man? Are you serious? What is going on?
You need to go buy some chickens. I bet the kids would love to raise some chickens.
Yeah, I don't want to raise no chickens.
Yeah, but 50 cents an egg, man.
But are they going to spit out enough eggs to make it worth it, though? Like, it may not.
I
don't know. Maybe I start selling my eggs for 45 cents, though.
Yeah. You got neighbors, don't you?
Just how I undercut the grocery store. Like, look, man. Look, it's 60 cents an egg, but you ain't got to go all the way to that grocery store to get them, though. They're right here. They're fresh.
Yeah. And they're fresh. And you know that they ate good food.
Yeah, because they was in your yard eating your bushes. So you know they've been eating good. No steroids over here because we couldn't afford them. So